going to call the City Council meeting now. The Northwest Bay City Council and Redevelopment Agency welcomes you to their virtual meeting. There are 4 public forums set aside for public comment, one at the beginning and one at the end of the Redevelopment Agency meeting, and one at the beginning and one at the end of the City Council meeting. When called upon to speak, we ask you to limit your comments no more than 3 minutes, and we avoid repetition. So what's going to happen, we're going to open the City Council meeting. I'm going to step aside after the invocation and a couple of things, and then the Councilman Barone will run his redevelopment committee, and then we'll close that one, then we'll jump back into the City Council meeting. So nothing on the redevelopment meeting with Councilman Barone, just wait until we get back to our City Council meeting. Madam City Clerk, are we in compliance with the Nevada Open Meeting Law?
Mayor, yes, we are in compliance.
Thank you. Tonight, we have the wonderful opportunity to have an invocation given by Mayor Pro Tem Barone. Following that, Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilman Churchill. Please rise. Councilman Barone.
Thank you, Mayor. And everyone, please rise if you haven't done so. Dear Lord, recently we had a holiday in which we gave thanks for the things that we have that are good in our lives. At this time, having things that are good in our lives seems to be at a premium. Recently, we were reminded just how many people are not doing well in our community. And what I saw is that there were many people who were willing to come together from all walks of life to help out those who are less fortunate. At these times when we think that we're so divided, perhaps we're not as divided as we think. We ask you first to touch everyone's heart as we go into this really special time of the year when we're seeing global pandemics that are across our community. And we ask you to give us here on the City Council great patience, understanding, empathy, great wisdom, and you also give our staff the same so that we can guide our humble city, our 250,000 people, to a better resolution, and hopefully, with everyone pulling together, all of us will get through this together. Again, we thank you so very much for all your blessings, dear Lord. Thank you again so very much. Amen.
Okay, if everybody's ready, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, both of you wonderful councilmen. Appreciate you so much. We don't have any council items. We're going to skip it this evening. We've not really been out in public like we like to do, cutting ribbons and things like that, so we don't really have much to say except, as the councilman said, we hope you had a great Thanksgiving. So now I'm going to turn the meeting over to Councilman Barone for the Redevelopment Agency meeting.
That'll be my gavel, I guess. Welcome. The North Las Vegas City Council and Redevelopment Agency welcomes you to their virtual meetings. There are 4 public forums set aside for public comments, one at the beginning and end of the Redevelopment Agency meeting, and one at the beginning and end of the City Council meeting. When called on to speak, we request that you limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes and that you avoid repetition. Madam City Clerk, are we in compliance with the Nevada Open Meeting Law?
Yes, the Redevelopment Agency agenda is in compliance with open meeting law. And the next thing would be public forum.
Thank you so very much. So on the public forum, do we have anybody standing by, or do we have any callers or any comments that have been submitted?
Chair Barone, we do not have any callers on the line for the Redevelopment Agency, and we have no written comments.
Great. So let's go ahead and go on to the agenda then. Let's go on to the agenda.
Item 1, approve redevelopment regular meeting agenda of December 2, 2020.
Thank you very much.
Chairman Barone and staff agency members, it's our recommendation to approve the agenda published.
I almost jumped ahead there. Thank you very much, Mr. City Manager. Can I get a motion from one of my colleagues to approve the RDA agenda?
Grimes Brown, move for approval.
Thank you very much. Let's take a vote.
Lee, aye.
Barone, aye.
Black, yes.
Churchill, yes.
Grimes Brown, yes.
Fantastic. That passes unanimously. Let's go on to the consent agenda.
Chairman Barone and agency members, the RDA consent agenda consists of items 2 through 6. It's our recommendation to approve the consent agenda as published.
Fantastic. Do we have a motion to approve the RDA consent agenda?
Grimes Brown, move to approve the consent agenda for RDA.
Thank you so very much. Let's take that vote.
Lee, aye.
Barone, yes.
Black, yes.
Churchill, yes.
Grimes Brown, yes.
Thank you very much. Motion passes. Passes, I should say. Okay, let's go ahead and I think go on to let's see here. That was a consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see any action items here. Okay, well, I guess I didn't know if we were going to have a presentation from anybody, but I guess not. Since it passes, let's go ahead and go on to the public forum.
Chair Barone, there's no callers on the line for the Redevelopment Agency's second public forum, and we have no written comments.
Okay, well, fantastic. So that was a time that was normally set aside for public forum, but since we don't have any callers and no one called in, before I close this, I'd like to make a quick comment. Despite the fact that, of course, everything seems to be slowing down, our public can be rest assured that everything in the RDA, the Redevelopment Agency, we have lots of really great things happening, and we're going to have some colorful additions, to the downtown area. Thank you so very much, and I am now adjourning the Redevelopment Agency meeting and turning it back to Mayor Lee for the council meeting.
Thank you very much, Councilman. There was a lot of big things on your consent agenda today. Pardon me, it just took me a second there. Great things are happening downtown in your district, by the way. Reconvening the city council meeting now. Moving on to the public forum. This is time set aside to comment on posted agenda items. When I call upon you to speak, I request that you limit your comments no more than 3 minutes and we avoid repetition. Madam City Clerk, do we have any written comments or callers on the phone at this time?
Mayor, yes, we do. I have a long list of written comments that I'll read into the record, and we have 2 callers. So this is a summary of all the public comments the City Clerk's office has received in regards to AMP 10 2020 and ZN 15 2020 that were originally scheduled to be heard by the City Council at its November 18th meeting and that are on tonight's agenda as item 33 and 34 since the 18th meeting was canceled. The applicant for AMP 1020 and ZN 15 2020 has requested the items be continued to December 16th. The following residents have provided written correspondence in opposition to these items as presented to the Planning Commission and as published for council action, citing preferences to keep the rural designation, to have the new development match the lifestyle existing properties, and instead of the proposed parcel sizes to build half-acre properties consistent with the neighborhood. They also cited problems in the area that this development would worsen, including old power grids, traffic congestion, and the need for more police and fire support. Those residents include Catherine Ujifusa, Maria Ornelas, Clinton and Jeannie Walker, Walter Stolkosa, Mr. and Mrs. Lambright, Mark Johnson, Bernice Poliandro, and Archer Cabai, Chris Heisler, Carolina and Cesar Quintana, Eric Wexler, Yvonne Collier, Evgenia Sablina, Marcia and John Henderson, Fred Young, Lynn Van Landshut, James Obansky, Nicholas and Constance Strasser, Victoria Cody, representing the Cody Living Trust, David Ramirez, Letizia Contreras, Michael and Denise James, Caitlin Hornbaker, Mark and Mary Johnson, Courage Miller, Sherry and Constance Snyder, Louis Musgrave, Peter Wong, Leo Wong, Lily Ho, Hans and Vicky Van Rural, Charles and Geraldine Harm. Sherry Snyder provided maps, a letter of opposition, copies of city zoning documents, and a neighborhood petition that was circulated in January this year, on which 36 people signed in opposition to the proposed development at Lone Mountain and Allen. She also provided a copy of meeting notes from the September 2, 2020 neighborhood meeting, where residents asked questions and stated their opposition to the current design. Ms. Yu Jifusa and Ms. Snyder and others expressed dissatisfaction with the meeting process and the protracted time it has taken to get a final decision on these two items due to COVID-19 constraints, canceled meeting, etc. Lastly, Ms. Yu Jifusa asked the council to deny the item at tonight's meeting and not continue them. In response to CNLV mail notices, the city received 23 return notices, which included 5 supporting the project and 18 in opposition. And I will bring the first caller into the line. It appears to be Mr. Yvonne Collier. Hello, caller. State your name for the record and address.
Hello, my name is Ivan Collier. My address is 3405 West Verde Way.
Welcome.
Sorry?
Welcome. Thank you very much. Just for the public information, this meeting's been moved to 12:16 because the governor came and said he wanted to make sure we spent more time away from each other because of the pandemic. This is such an important meeting to a lot of people. Rather than do a virtual meeting, as a council, we thought it would be better to have an in-person meeting so there'd be better public participation. So it's not being moved for any other purpose except to give the public a chance to actually come down and visit with the city council in a proper meeting rather than just on the telephone. So that's the discussion going on right now. But please go ahead, sir.
Okay. I was just to say that I'm opposed to the plan of development. I think that we should follow what the zoning is. That's my position. That's where I stand.
Okay. So well noted. Thanks.
So the meeting is actually going to be a in-person meeting on the 16th of December.
Yes, sir. That's our plan to allow you to have a chance to come up and actually see your city council and discuss this with us.
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much. We'll see you then.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Mayor, this is Ryan. I just want to make sure that we're clear that that's our intent, but we're not really sure where things are going. As we all know, we've been through this now for 9 months. Our intent is to have meetings again, but it just really depends on the governor's orders and what state of the pandemic we're in, because we want to make sure that we give residents every opportunity that they can have. But it's a difficult juggle. There's many residents that want this item to be heard, and there's other residents that want to be in person, which makes it difficult if we're not able to meet in person.
Well noted.
Mayor.
Catherine, do you have your next person?
Yes, Mayor, and if Mr. Collier is still on the line, if he would hang up, that would be make our conference line work better for us. I'll bring in the next caller.
Sure, thanks.
Hello, caller. State your name and address for the record.
My name is William Work. I live at 4850 North Kenny Way.
Welcome, Mr. Ward.
Yes, I was just calling to oppose the 33 and 34, and it's zoned RE preservation. It's been already unanimously denied in the zoning meeting, and it doesn't fit in with our neighborhood. Daily we have people riding horses up and down the street and putting high density in between two neighborhoods. I'm looking out my window at a guy riding a horse. But it's just not safe. It doesn't belong. the people that will be moving in won't be of the same people, and it's wrong to change it. You're separating us if it changes.
Well, thank you once again. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, sir.
No, William, I was going to say, once again, recognize we have some people that are for it, quite a few against it, and to come to your city council, and we're trying to give you your voice rather just on the phone like this right here. But duly noted what you're speaking, and if you want to finish, I might have cut you off.
No, it's just, I understand when the property was bought, it was bought knowing what it was. And it was bought on a gamble that they could change the zoning and make more money. And I don't think that they should make money on the backs. And, you know, it's just one of those things. It shouldn't happen. And that's basically what I had to say. Sorry.
Well spoken. We get that. I appreciate your call. And as the city city manager has mentioned, we are planning a meeting on the 16th per the governors, but nothing has moved forward to become a deeper problem for you at this time. That's what I want you to hear, okay? So
okay. So we are going to be able to come down and speak with you guys.
that is our goal, okay? And as the city manager mentioned, unless the governor does something else, you know what I mean, that's our plan, and we'll follow through with it.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Catherine, do we have anybody else on the phone?
Yes, we do, Mayor. If the current caller can hang up, I'll bring the next person in. Hello, caller. State your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Sherry Snyder. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my mom, Constance Snyder. We live at 3728 West Verde Way, 89031.
Welcome, Ms. Snyder. How can we help you?
Yes, hi. I'm calling like so many of my other neighbors. We do understand that you are taking items 33 and 34 to 2 weeks down the road so that we can show up in public. But it really, at this point, is becoming a moot point. The applicants requested the 2-week extension to work on another site plan, but they're still not going to come in with the current zoning the way that it is. And we, at this point, are tired of it. We would like the city to stand behind and enforce the ordinance that supports the rural ranch preservation area, the 17-2205 ordinance, and tell the applicant to produce the half-acre plan so that we can all stop, they can make their money, and we don't have to live in with neighbors that are not non-rural, not animal-like-minded people. I have sent you all a 5-page opposition letter, a neighborhood petition, Zoom meeting text, county and assessor maps, and supporting city documents, all asking you just to follow your own ordinances and rules. And yet we keep being delayed, and they're not denying it, not supporting the current city residences. I guess my question for the city council is that, why do these ordinances and policies have any legitimacy? Or are we just going to do spot zoning? And how many of us have to? What's that magic number that we have to keep showing up and asking you to enforce those ordinances that's going to get this done? As public servants, I wouldn't want to think that you want to have to keep saying this every meeting, but that's what's going to happen. We respectfully request that you uphold the current ordinances, the preservation area, and ask this petitioner to make sure that they are enforcing, coming back with a site plan that brings the half acres into play. They're not going to live here. We do.
Okay, well spoken and well understood. Thank you very much. We can't really, since we're not hearing the items tonight, we can't really discuss it as a quorum, but we're taking the information, and we appreciate you.
Don't appreciate us, support us. That's what we're asking for. You've got a lot of people that are, this has been 2 years now in the making. And this is probably the first time you're really even hearing the amount of opposition that's here. And I really don't want to have to drag my 88-year-old mother and myself to a city council meeting in person at this point with the pandemic and possibly put our health at risk for property that we don't own. This is our neighborhood. We live here. We've lived here 44 years. And a few of my neighbors have done the same. So please, Mr. Mayor, do something right about this if you would. Something has to be done.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Catherine, is there?
Yes.
Catherine, is there anybody else who would like to
Yes,
address the council?
we have more people for first public forum. Let me bring in the next person. Hello, caller. State your name and address for the record.
My name is Fred Young. Address is 4704 Brushfire Street, North Las Vegas, Nevada, 89031. And I'm calling in opposition of item number 33, requesting the maintenance of the half-acre ranch estate zoning provisions that are currently in place.
Okay, well, yeah, please go ahead, sir.
Okay. I just basically wanted to express my opposition towards the proposed zoning changes to create smaller lot sizes would basically create circumstances that are very present around the valley already, and it's very difficult for me to present an argument as to why we would need any more higher density locations or housing locations when that seems to be the primary development pattern that is found around the valley. This actually what's here in zoning currently is a very unique environment that would be supported by a lot of people that are moving into Las Vegas now to enjoy our weather, to enjoy the economy that we have here, to enjoy our really favorable taxes. So people that would be moving here from other states, in most cases, would be moving here with the means by which to appreciate the half-acre property, and very possibly would be leaving a larger property in their own state, and would be very pleased to be able to find that they would find something fairly reasonable here in southern Nevada that would accommodate the ability to have a little bit of space on their own property instead of having essentially like a very constrained neighborhood. Like I said, those are already commonly found, so I don't see the reason why we would want to create another one, which essentially would create an island within an existing zone, ranch estate zone, and honestly, for having in a neighborhood, an entire neighborhood have to compromise for the profitability of a single entity that does not live in the neighborhood, that does not enjoy what the neighborhood maintains. It doesn't seem real fair. Doesn't seem just. Doesn't seem right. And so that I just wanted to voice my opposition. I need to call in separately for item 34.
No, you've actually covered the information on both those items. I will say this, though. We probably understand there's quite a few people who want to have this opportunity to speak to us, but we can't respond because it's not on the agenda at this time. So
I'm sorry.
We're understanding what you're doing. No, we're understanding what you're doing, but if you come on the 16th, and then we'll be able to go back and forth and deliberate with you. Okay, so that. I guess if there's more people who want to make their statement, you can make it, but we can't deliberate back and forth with you and ask you questions. So we're not being rude. We're just, complying with the law. Okay.
I did receive a notification from the trainer stating that there was to be able to bring this up on thank you very much for helping me understand. I will call back in on the 16th.
Well, we hope to see you live, Fred. You know, that you come down here if you want to. So thank you very much. Catherine, oh, I'm sorry, Fred. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for explaining that to me, and I appreciate your time in allowing me to speak.
You got it. Thank you. Catherine?
There are 3 more people. I'll bring the next person in. Hello, caller. State your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Gwen. My address is 320 Bonanza Way.
Welcome, Clayton.
Hi. I just wanted to call and state my frustration and disgust by the demolition of the homes that were built to displace folks in North Las Vegas yesterday, I believe it was. It was a community effort. People from the community put $12,000 worth of donations in this, trying to find a place for displaced folks to be. The shelters are closed. It's illegal to sleep on sidewalks. I don't really know what you expect people to do. People are being evicted. The CDC moratorium is not being honored. It just seems like one thing after another. I don't know what you expect people to do, and disrupting a community project aimed on helping people based on community support and compassion just seems really heartless, cruel, and wrong. I wanted to express that. Thank you.
Maybe we'll be able to discuss that on the second public hearing. But at this point in time, we notice what you're saying, okay?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Catherine?
I'll bring in the next person, Mayor. Hello, caller. State your name and address for the record.
My name is Jamila Lewis. I live at 5800 West Charleston Boulevard, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89146.
Welcome.
Thank you. Are you ready for me?
We're ready. We appreciate you.
Oh, well, thank you, and I appreciate this time. Hi, as I said, my name is Jamila Lewis. I've been a resident here in Las Vegas for the last 6 years. I'm also an alum of UNLV, so I have seen how people in our community have experienced homelessness over the last few years, and due to new construction and renovations in downtown, we see that a lot of people are pushed into certain areas in which they don't have access to services. And during this pandemic, we also see places like Las Vegas Rescue Mission closed. We see places like the Shade Tree not able to offer housing. And we see more and more places not able to sustain the extreme amount of people experiencing houselessness that we have here in Las Vegas. So then when we see organizations like Boom Not Bomb specifically hosting these donations and fundraisers so that people can be housed during a global pandemic, raising over $16,000 to support our community and not being destroyed, that is utterly disappointing. It's degrading, and it's also invalidating to those who are experiencing homelessness. The reason I'm on this call today is to ask that there is some kind of restitution that those folks who are now further displaced during the pandemic get, and or Do Not Bombs be given that money back, as that was communal funds and that was a communal project, and we are also the people who deserve to protect our future and our further brothers and sisters here in Las Vegas. So with that being said, I know it's not an agenda item today and that you can't speak to it directly, but I hope that you do consider what we're saying today and what I'm saying today and think about that further in upcoming conversations.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you, Ms. Lewis, for your concern. We do appreciate that.
Thank you for your time, and I hope to speak with you all again.
Yes, ma'am. Have a good evening.
Mm-hmm.
Catherine, is that it?
Mayor, I do have one more caller on the line, but I have an email from this gentleman, and he was also calling about homelessness. He's dialed the number for a first public forum. Do you want me to wait to take his call at the end of the meeting, or do you want me to take the call now?
No, I don't want him to wait any longer than he has to.
Okay,
Let's put him through right
I'll bring
now.
him right in. Hello, caller. State your name and address for the record.
Hello.
Hello. Can you? Yes. Can you tell us your name, please?
Sure, my name is Jazz Shepherd.
Okay. Welcome. Welcome to our meeting.
Great, thank you.
How can we help you?
Any other information? No?
Your address?
Sure, it's 3145 East Flamingo Road, apartment number 2014, zip code 89123.
Thank you very much, and welcome to our meeting this evening. How can we help you?
Hi, I'm here to make my comments about the destruction and eviction, the mass eviction of houseless folks that occurred on Owens and D Street. I'm one of the volunteers who is helping to build the hut, the basic shelter kind of home for our unhoused neighbors during this pandemic, so that they would have somewhere to stay that was safe outside of the, away from crowds or any other people, somewhere that they could have that was private with dignity. And I'm calling in to let y'all know how deeply disappointed I am and how heartbroken and how angry I am that the city would go through with such a profound waste of resources, money, and time to demolish homes that we built for our unhoused neighbors. When it was just, we all know it doesn't work. It's unnecessary. Y'all need to stop. And I want to share the demands that we have. We need land. If they can't live there, the public right-of-way where literally no other homes are around, no other businesses around, if they can't be there, then they need somewhere else to go. They can't just be constantly pushed out and criminalized and evicted over and over and over again. We all know it doesn't work and it's a waste of money. So we need land. And the people who have been displaced, they need to be made whole again, and they need to have everything that was destroyed of theirs replaced, including medications, documents, and anything that isn't replaceable. They need to be compensated. We also need to be restored for all 26 huts that we built with our own hands, completely community funded. So if that can't be done, then we need the $16,000 that we raised in order to build those huts. Number 4, all charges against the community members need to be dropped. Number 5, all future decisions about the unhoused in Las Vegas must include their voices. We also want an apology and to stop all future rapes. That's all. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jazz. I actually have your request in front of me here, and I'll make sure that this gets entered into the record, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Catherine, I know you've got those comment letters. We want to make sure they get entered into the journal. And is that the last public person right now, public comment person?
Yes, Mayor, they will be entered in the record, and that's the end of the callers.
Thank you. Very important matters in our community, both of those issues that were discussed. We understand that. And we will move on now and close the public forum and move on to the agenda.
Item 7, approve City Council regular meeting agenda of December 2nd, 2020. Mayor and Council, the applicants for items 33 and 34, as requested, those items be continued to the December 16, 2020 meeting. With that change, staff recommends approval of the council agenda as amended.
Thank you. Council, any comments or questions on the agenda as amended? If not, the chair will take a motion. Move for approval of the agenda as amended. Scott Black. We have a motion. Council, please cast your vote. Lee, aye.
Brown, yes.
Black, aye.
Churchill, yes.
Brown, yes.
Thank you very much. It's unanimous. I have a quick question for the city manager and for the council here. The city manager brought up a good point. We could be pushing this item off forever and ever and ever and never get to it. We're trying to give the residents a chance to come. We had a lot of people against. We've had, I think, 5 to 10 people that are for it, and so we haven't been able to make a decision. And until we actually get in front of and listen to all the decisions and the thoughts that have taken place in the last, I think, year or two, one lady said. But council, I'm not sure, City Manager, if December 16th shows up again and we're virtual, we're going to have to hear this item on the 16th. One way or the other, the 16th is going to be the day. All right, we can't just keep this in limbo forever. So I just want to get some comment from the council how they feel about that. I don't want to vote on it, but I do want to, let the city manager know, what your thinking is. But this can't continue on forever. So, city manager, would you kind of take that over a little bit and find out what the governor is going to do and all that kind of stuff, and see if we can get this thing settled?
Yes, sir. I mean, it's obviously difficult to figure out what the governor's going to do. I think he's actually in a press conference right now because it changes so often. And as you know, we have to post these agendas a week before, but there's literally decisions being made from Carson City that are essentially, we're given no notice, sometimes a few hours notice that there's a change that's happening, and then it's announced, and we usually have 24 hours to prepare for executing it. So I think maybe the best thing to do is we just plan on whether, if it's the appetite of mayor and council, we just plan the next meeting in December, whether it's virtual or whether it's in person, the item will be heard. And then, because what I heard from residents today is I heard some residents that didn't want to leave their home and be they have concerns with being out with the pandemic going on. I heard others that wanted to be face to face in a meeting, and it's just, as you all know, those are, you can't really satisfy both of those two sides of a different coin. So I think that if it's the appetite of mayor and council, we will make sure that item is heard. And as much as I completely understand and appreciate the desire for the traditional, being in council chambers and being able to see residents face to face and then being able to see us. I think if there's one thing we've learned during the pandemic is we just need to be able to accept doing business in different ways and just try and do as best as we can to still accomplish all the goals that we need to accomplish, but that recognizing we're going to have to accommodate a very fluid situation when it comes to the pandemic.
Well, and I agree with that. We have a lot of things on this agenda that we are going to pass in this type of meeting, and we've tried to make this kind of a unique meeting to give the community a chance, but on December 16th, we will have this meeting, and we will, unless something happens and we're not allowed to have a meeting at all, we will hear this item, okay?
Okay, so is it still your desire, Mayor, so I'm hearing this correctly, even if we're not able to have a meeting in person, is it still a desire to make sure that this goes on to an agenda? Because a virtual agenda, a virtual meeting, is something we're just going to have to learn to live with.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. With this, the frustration I felt from so many good people is, let's make a decision, work with them on the phone, and we'll give them as much time as they need, and then the council will then make a decision, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I hope the people that were on the phone have heard that, and this will be a real deal meeting unless we get told there are no meetings at City Council because the governor shut us down. This meeting will take place on the 16th. Thank you very much, and thank you, the City Manager. Moving on to the council, the consent agenda.
Mayor and council, the consent agenda consists of items. Did we actually take a motion? Did you guys? Yeah. You did vote on. Okay, sorry, that got lost. The consent agenda consists of items 8 through 32. Staff recommends approval because the council consent agenda is published.
Thank you very much. Council, any comments or questions to approve the consent agenda? If not, the chair will take a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda. I'll take roll. Lee, aye.
Brown, yes.
Black, yes.
Churchill, yes.
Brown, yes.
Thank you very much, Council. It's unanimous. Moving on to public hearings.
Note for the viewing audience, items 33 and 34 were just continued to the December 16th meeting, and that all public comments received by the clerk's office for these meetings are on file in the clerk's office for that meeting, and there's no need to rescind them for the meeting of December 16th.
Thank you very much. Moving on to business.
Item 35 is an update on the acceptance of the grant award from Clark County in the amount of $23,790,984 of coronavirus relief funds, and authorize the city manager and his designee to continue to enter into appropriate agreement. Mayor and Council, this item really, I don't even know if we really need an action on it tonight. We just wanted to, it had been expressed in previous meetings, to update you all on where we are in CARES dollars and answer any questions that you might be receiving from the public. So the purpose of this is really just to provide that update to you guys about where we're at on it. And I think we're going to start with Alfredo, and he's just going to kind of give you a little bit of an overview of what we've been doing to reach people in the community and to help push these dollars into the community.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. You know, one of the things we first did as part of assisting our residents during this pandemic, residents and businesses, is reassign library staff to be navigators in the community for the different types of assistance that was available both on the local, state, and national level. And so our library staff, with the assistance of modern technology, robocalls, and emails, we continue to try to make sure our businesses knew about the different governor mandates that were coming down and make sure they had the resources and ability to comply. The second part of that was being able, as good librarians, being able to direct them to the proper assistance throughout the community so they can access that. And so they've been very busy. We've been very proud of them during this whole process. We've had 2 rounds of small business grants, and we helped about 300 small businesses with small grants. We actually had 2 rounds. I would say we had 2 rounds because we learned a lot from the first round on what businesses we could continue to help. So in the second round, we actually had some really micro grants for really small businesses, and we also opened it up for businesses that had over 40 employees, between 40 and 100 employees. So that turned out to be a successful program that actually even became more successful. And then because of the backlog in rent, mortgage, and utility assistance that the county was providing through the nonprofit agencies, we turned around and developed a system to sort of pattern our program and our CARES dollars to be able to provide that assistance as rapid as possible. So our librarians, again, pivoted to providing rent and mortgage and utility assistance to local residents. But one of the things we did realize, and I've talked about this before with Nevada Energy and Southwest Gas, they also chipped in as helpers in identifying folks affected by COVID, and we were able to help 5,700 North Las Vegas residents who are struggling to pay their gas and electric bills. And the majority of our economic assistance programs have directly benefit minority-owned businesses and minority residents. Further evidence that our community has been disproportionately affected by the pandemic. And other funds we've used for SNUMA, obviously one of our really exciting programs, and other pandemic response for us as staff. And so we're really proud of the staff altogether that has put these programs together in a very big hurry to try to stabilize our tax base and help our residents that are the most in need. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Council, do you have any questions on the report you just received?
Mayor, just one little comment and then a question here. So I'm very appreciative that we're taking most of the money that, the grand majority of the money that was filtered over to us. And definitely want to thank our friends there on the Department of Commission for making that happen. I'm just wondering, I know everybody that has a business license in North Las Vegas, all those are being contacted by our library staff. Is that not correct?
Yeah, that's what I'd asked Alfredo's report on, just the library staff part of it. And as he mentioned, that our library staff's been, that's the benefit that we have as far as having business licenses, is we're able to track down those that we know that have business licenses in North Las Vegas, and then contact them through a bunch of different ways to make sure that they understand the different programs and the relief dollars that are available. The library staff has done a tremendous job reaching out to them through the multiple rounds. In fact, even before we had any relief dollars, our library staff was reaching out to them to see what they needed, to see how they were doing, to let them know about the federal programs, the state programs, the various things that were available, because we hadn't received these dollars yet. And that was kind of obviously the rub that we've had about this the entire time, is our businesses were kind of sitting and watching for 6 months, waiting for these dollars that had been passed through Congress in the spring, and they hadn't received them because there was no way for us to get them the dollars.
Gotcha. Has there been one, not so much a complaint, just one commentary from a couple of people, is that, and I realize, there's a lot of accountability, that we're trying to instill. Of course, this is not a giveaway. This is a help for our businesses, for residents. But has there been any thought in doing what we can? We're always looking for efficiencies and for streamlining things. Has there been any thought on maybe the small improvements that we can do to facilitate, streamline the application process for our businesses and for our residents?
Yeah, that's a good point. We've actually, and I can turn this over a little bit to Alfredo, but I think we've really got a great process. Our feedback that we're hearing from applicants that have applied through the different levels of government is that we have a really great process. Obviously, because these are taxpayer dollars, and they come with a lot of different restrictions from the federal government, and there is some language in the CARES bill that allows us to use kind of our reasonable best efforts, which provides a significant amount of protection for us, but we still want to make sure that the processes are lean enough that we're able to they're not burdensome to businesses, but they also have to have enough teeth in them and enough meat on the bone that we make sure that we're filtering through, because as you know, this $2 trillion unprecedented package that moved through Congress has resulted in not just complaints, but convictions across the country of fraud and illegal behaviors, because the unprecedented amount of money with such lax restrictions. So we think we have a really streamlined program. We think the way that we've executed and implemented it, in fact, Senator Cortez Masto actually, she nominated our library staff for a national award, just hearing and understanding what the tremendous efforts that they've done in such a unique way to make sure that we are able to talk to businesses, work them through a streamlined application, and get them relief dollars as quick as possible.
Okay, thank you so very much. Any other comments or questions for the city manager? I have a question. You brought it up just for a second there. You're already authorized to enter into appropriate agreements as they come forth. Do we need to make a motion to continue to enter into appropriate agreements, or we're still acting effectively with the last motion we had, aren't we?
Yes, sir. I can defer to legal on that, but we believe this was just a presentation item. One thing that we do want to make really clear to council is nothing magical is going to happen on December 31st, other than we're going to probably have a very unusual New Year's celebration like we've never had in our lifetime. But nothing in the first week of January and the first week of February, staff believes that our businesses and our small businesses are going to be potentially facing the exact same challenges and problems that they're facing now. And the challenge for that becomes is right now, currently, there's no more federal relief for these businesses. And a lot of the federal relief dollars that go to individual residents start to expire at the end of this year. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to have a conversation with how we continue to provide some of these type programs to businesses that we know are not going to have some magical thing happen on December 30th, that they're not going to have challenges going into the new year, where it's equally important for us to find ways to help protect them, protect that revenue source for the city, and protect their ability to help us provide services for residents. So we intend to come back at the next council meeting, and there'll probably be an item at the next council meeting where we're going to have a little bit more of a discussion on this. Is there anything you wanted to add, Michaela, as far as this particular item, whether it actually needs a vote tonight or not?
She actually just said, no, it does not need a motion, just continue on. So you've already got approval, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. We'll keep doing what we're doing.
All right, appreciate you. Good report. Moving on to item 36, Council, City Manager.
Number 36 is to ratify the North Las Vegas Police Supervisors Association Collective Bargaining Agreement for the period of July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. And I'm going to, as you all know, we're required to read into the record the financial impact of this agreement. And I just want to contextually, for both this item and for the next item, 37, I'm going to provide some content, just some contextual content of a little financial update of where we are. But then I'll provide financial impacts for both this item and for the next item, if that makes sense, Mayor. I'll do the big financial conversation kind of now. Since the pandemic began in March, our year-over-year tax collections for the city are down a little over 20%, so 20.3%. And this is much better than we originally projected, but it's still a significant challenge for Southern Nevada and for the city. We had thought before this was going to be around 27% were the initial projection, and so it's not as bad as it was, but it's still pretty bad. So we're still navigating through that. As you all know, unemployment in Southern Nevada continues to be well above the national average, and major employers continue to announce additional layoffs, and we see closures almost on a daily basis. Now, clearly, Southern Nevada is unique, not just in the country as far as unemployment, but also in the state. So in Reno, they've almost recovered. Their unemployment numbers are almost back to pre-pandemic levels. We're nowhere near that in Southern Nevada. We've led the crusade in North Las Vegas on the importance of diversifying and the importance of not being reliant on one particular industry. And once again, we're seeing why that's so important, because the state's done a very good job of diversifying Northern Nevada, and you can see what impact it has on Northern Nevada when you have that diversification. Using revenue projections from the local government finance working group, we estimate that citywide revenues will be off by about $70 million, lower than pre-COVID estimates through June 2022. So that's a significant challenge. When we first started providing the fiscal update, when this all was happening to the council, if you recall, that was around $107 million that we were looking at a shortfall. Now that's improved. We've improved it, but we don't want to lose sight of the fact that yes, it's gotten better, but it's still really bad. It's still $70 million that's lower. That we've got to figure out what to do in the next coming years, and how we respond to that projected deficit. In response to this crisis, as you know, management, we've postponed and canceled numerous projects, CIP projects, We've instituted soft hiring freezes. Additionally, the 2021 budget approved by council did not include any cost of living adjustments or base wage increases for any employee groups. For these reasons, we've asked all of our collective bargaining groups, and these agreements before you today are the last few remaining agreements that we have, to work with us to help close the revenue gap. As far as this item for the PSA, there's currently 38 positions that are covered under the collective bargaining agreement. In the city, and it costs the city approximately $8.2 million per year. This agreement allows for us to keep that number flat, which is consistent with the 2021 budget that you all passed. We also have savings that are in the agreement that allow us to have, we're projecting savings across multiple employee groups, including appointed confidential on insurance. So we're thankful for that change to the contract and being able to help close that gap just a little bit more, but still recognizing that we have we have to keep our sleeves rolled up, maybe even roll them up a little bit tighter as we go through this budgeting for next year and as we enter into negotiations next year to make sure that we can maintain city services where they're at.
Okay, that makes sense. So that was your combined presentation for 36 and 37. So I'm going to take 36 first, which will be ratify the North Las Vegas Police Supervisors Association collective bargaining agreement. Councilmember Rowan.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor. Mr. City Manager, I would like you to please extend my thanks to everybody in the bargaining groups, both city staff and of course for the police officer supervisors. Oftentimes, right now with everything going on, there's a lot of distractions. So many things that of course, could throw a wrench into the agreement. But I'm really happy to see that we have something that works out for everybody. And again, my thanks to your team negotiating on behalf of the city, as well as our friends on the Supervisors Association.
Thank you very much. Any other council member like to speak on this? Hearing none. Councilman Churchill, did you want to say something on this item?
Well, I just wanted to echo what my colleague just mentioned, Mayor. We do appreciate the fact of our Police Supervisors Association working with us, knowing full well, and we haven't been shy here in North Las Vegas in setting our goals into providing the services back to the community that are somewhat in short supply due to the pandemic. So this is very important to us in the city, the residents that they serve, that we serve, for them to work with us in the future on that. So I echo again the sentiments of both our city manager and my colleague, Councilman Barone.
Thank you very much. And without a doubt, we are a community who understands good policing, and we have good police officers, and we are not talking about defunding anything. So I appreciate these good men and women. So with that, Councilman Barone, that was your motion? I'll say it. Yeah, that was your motion. Okay. So we have a motion to ratify the PSA agreement. We'll go ahead and take a vote. Lee, aye.
Barone, aye.
Black, yes. Churchill, yes.
Going Brown, yes.
Thank you very much. It is unanimous. And moving on to 37, which was to get a motion to ratify the corrections supervisors at this time. We've already had the presentation, so the chair will take a motion. Any discussion?
I do need to do a small presentation on this one. So item 37 is ratify. No, it's fine. Item 37, ratify the North Las Vegas Police Supervisors Association collective bargaining agreement for the corrections supervisors for the period of July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. There's this agreement for the supervisors. There's currently 9 positions that are covered under this agreement that cost the city approximately $1.4 million per year. This agreement before you today allows for us to keep base wages flat, which is consistent with the 2021 budget. This also agreement provides some of the savings that were described in the previous item in regards to our health insurance. And that concludes my presentation, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilor, any comments or questions? I think that, once again, these good men and women should be recognized for what they do for our community. We're very proud of them, and I know these were good negotiations with good people, Mr. City Manager, and we appreciate you guys and your staff for handling this for us. We want to keep all these people, and we want to make sure our police department stays strong with these good people. So with that, unless there's any other comments or questions, the mayor will take a motion.
Let's make a motion. Go ahead, Councilman. Go ahead.
Actually, I will see this one to Councilman Churchill.
Councilman? Councilman Churchill, we'll listen to your motion.
Yeah. I'll be very happy to make a motion to approve item number 37 as well.
Thank you very much. We have a motion. We will cast our votes now. Lee, aye.
Brown, yes.
Black, yes.
Churchill, yes.
Goins, Brown, yes.
Thank you. Once again, it's unanimous. Appreciate that. Moving on to item 38.
Thank you, Mayor. And just real quick, I do want to thank Assistant City Manager Ellen Goldberg. These were her first negotiations that she did, and she did a great job working with PSA to get these across the finish line. Item 38, approve interlocal agreement with Clark County, Nevada to accept $9.5 million in grant funds to install 6 full-size lighted multi-use sports fields and associated amenities at Craig Ranch Regional Park, and authorize the city manager and his designee to enter into appropriate agreements of approved projects as required. Is Cass on the line? I believe he's gonna provide some comments for this, but before Cass goes, Cass has done a tremendous job working. This is something he's been working with the county commission and with Commissioner Lawrence Weekly for a little while, for a couple years now, actually. And this is a tremendous work, and it's a tremendous asset for the community. Cass, are you on?
Yeah, yes, I am, Ryan.
Welcome, Director Palmer. You want to give a report?
Yes, happy to be here to discuss with this $9.5 million interlocal grant, and just give you a quick overview of item 38 and walk you through and answer any questions. For the record, Cass Palmer, Director of Neighborhood and Leisure Services. We're talking about item 38. A bit like our city manager just advised, we've been working on this project for a while now, and it's culminated in an interlocal grant of $9.5 million to install much-needed athletic and special event space at Craig Ranch. Some of you have a map in front of you, but those on the call, we're talking about the lower southeast quadrant where our dirt parking lot is now on the corner of Commerce in Craig. So the concept is to install 6 multi-use fields. And I say multi-use fields consciously because it can be anywhere from athletics to events to concerts to whatever we can dream up in the future to bring activity and relations to our community. The area is also going to include restrooms for both sides. We're going to put bleachers on several of the fields. Ultimately, we'll have one championship field. We'll have larger games and everything else. But at the same time, the design is going to include playground facilities, green areas, sidewalk access everywhere, storage areas for our equipment so we can maintain the areas. And a very nice plus is that's going to improve parking on that quadrant of the park and put in a circulation roadway so we can navigate interior of the park without having to go up the road. And at the same time, we've applied for some maintenance equipment to help us out. And the largest issue is going to have LED lighting, state-of-the-art lighting, to maintain the 6 fields so we can go not 24/7, but we can go whatever hours is required for this special event. All this will be ADA accessible to all of our citizens. And just happy to have good friends at the Clark County Commission, especially to Commissioner Weekly and Chair Ms. Kirkpatrick. This project, the $9.5 billion, dovetails nicely in with our current CIP to put a perimeter road in around it. This project will enhance that and add much-needed parking for parents and athletic stores. And the third aspect of this, we have $1.9 million interlocal grant from the Clark County to support the installation of a railroad within the interior of Craig Ranch. The railroad process is well underway. We've got our locomotives ordered and our cars. Those take about 14 to 16 months to do. And we're laying up the now. So we're going to be running all three projects currently, the six fields, the perimeter road and parking, as well as the railroad. So proverbially, we don't have the railroad cutting through the soccer fields at a later date. So we're working with both teams, our public works team here, doing a phenomenal job, as well as the Clark County Real Property team. And just happy to be in here tonight to ask for approval to accept interlocal Clark County for $9 million to install much-needed soccer and special use fields at Craig Ranch. I'm open for any questions.
What is the time frame, Cass, on this particular project?
Approximately 2 years. So we've got all of 21, the best a month now, all of 21, and December 31 of 2022, we need wrapped up and done.
Great. Hey, Cass, I don't know if you know this, but everybody in the city council has other hobbies or gifts, and I don't know if you know this, but I'm a dog whisperer, and the dog behind you is actually saying you're not giving him any doggy treats. You're out of doggy treats, and he hasn't been to Craig Ranch Dog Park in a long time. Richard, did you catch that, Paco? Do you think Paco's go out there?
As a matter of fact, Paco and I were busy checking out the digs, and he had a great time.
Oh, you love your dog. That's good. Some people don't. Some people don't.
Yeah.
Richard, you had something?
I'm going to have to bring a bag of cookies over to Paco.
Well, Cash, you've got a dog that's got a lot of personality. So, but the exciting thing is, you're right. Our city council has a good relationship through our city manager with the county commission, and Cass has worked very, very hard for that. Have we put out a letter or anything of thanks on this, Cass, yet, that we could all sign it for everyone in the county commission?
I'm in the process of drafting something now just to personally thank him from you all, and we'll get that going. And I must say, in addition, Councilman Weekly also just recently found $300,000 to provide to us via interlocal to improve our basketball and tennis courts and have them resurfaced throughout the town. So it's a wonderful relationship.
He's not going to be with us much longer. I'm sure glad that you guys were able to get all this accomplished, because I don't know what money is going to be left in the programs for the next county commissioner. You've done great. Okay? Thank you. So I'm going to call for a motion to approve the interlocal agreement and authorize the city manager to set $9.5 million in grants to go ahead and install that stuff at the Craig Ranch. So if anyone would like to make that motion, I'll take it.
Mayor, I have a couple questions first. Then I'll make the motion.
Yeah. Comments or questions? Go right ahead.
Cass, since these are going to be multi-use fields, I know we've had a lot of discussion. People are asking about football leagues, pickleball, other types of field sports. Can they all be utilized on that? Will we have a programming schedule like that?
All the sports that you mentioned except for pickleball. Pickleball requires a hard surface, but we will present pickleball at multiple basketball courts throughout the town. We've implemented in a couple of tennis courts already, and we'll bring pickleball. But yes, all the other sports can very easily be played on these six fields.
Okay, and then can we just entertain the thought of naming the fields instead of just having them numbered?
I love the idea, and yes, that makes total sense. We'll make that happen.
Okay, any other comments or questions? If not, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Seeing none, we'll go ahead and that's in your district. Congratulations, Pam. You've got a great district with things happening in it. We'll take that as the motion. I'll go ahead and start the vote. Lee, aye.
Barone, yes.
Black
Churchill, yes.
Brown, yes.
Item is approved. Thank you very much, Cass.
Thank you. Mayor, I just want to make one quick comment. I appreciate that discussion. I am going to work with staff and as far as naming of the fields go. I think it's a good suggestion. I think it could be problematic during tournament play. And we are currently working on a policy. I believe it's Alfredo's working on it, on a naming policy, because we've had this come up a couple different times in regards to parks and streets and playgrounds, and now it's fields, and it's something that we lack a little bit. And we've been gathering some information from some other jurisdictions, and there are some good practices that they have on processes such as naming roads and things like that. So we hope to have that policy and bring it back to you guys soon, and then that'll allow us to have a more robust conversation on some of the desires to name or rename different things in the city.
We had that, I think, in the legislature also. There is some standards right now within our community and within our state, so I'll just offer that to you. So,
yes, sir. Thank you for that input.
Moving on to 39.
Item number 39, approve amendment to Southern Nevada Water Authority Major Construction Capital Plan. As you know, Mayor, this is a huge thing that happened, and it might have kind of went under the radar for a lot of our residents. In the paper, it was reported on, but the significance of it wasn't reported on, more so than just that it was going to result in a change in people's water bills. And so we want to give just a little bit more context to that what this project is going to do for Southern Nevada and the state of Nevada, quite frankly, in making sure that we diversify our economy and making sure that we're able to pull out of economic challenges that we're currently facing, as well as insulate ourselves from future economic challenges. I believe we have Tom Brady that's on the phone that's going to provide a brief presentation, but I just want to just real quickly underscore this is a huge deal that is a lot of people have been working on. It was one of the first big assignments that I had coming into the city, so you can tell this is something we've been working on for 6 years, and this is a monumental thing for the city of North Las Vegas. Tom, are you on the call?
I am. This is Tom Brady, Director of Utilities. And as Ryan indicated, this simple agenda item reflects at least a decade's worth of work. On the screen, this is the SNWA Major Construction and Capital Plan. But city leadership and staff have been working with the Southern Nevada Water Authority and their Policy Advisory Committee on looking at what kind of needs are out here in the Las Vegas Valley. Now, one of the things that we've looked at is, we took a harder look in terms of following council's direction to look at opportunities for diversification and growth in other areas other than tourism when we look at where are our needs and where is that taking us in the future. And so as a part of this program, we asked to have the committee look at some of the areas that we're prioritizing, which primarily is an apex in terms of creating additional industrial opportunities for growth and expansion in areas of diversification for the city. And as a part of that process, we've been working on that more than a year just for this in particular. But on top of that, this program expansion represents about $3.2 billion worth of economic impact just in construction of projects and purchase of resources. Now, it also encompasses additional things that have to happen, like ways to improve water system reliability, return flow credits to the lake, to the Colorado River, through the Colorado River, as well as the projects that affect us. But specifically, this involves a water system project and a wastewater project for the Apex Industrial Complex, which is a significant catalyst for us to move forward with our plans for APEC. On the surface, that represents about $250 million of this overall package, which is tremendous when you look at what kind of growth this can spur on. Again, staff and leadership have really been working towards this, and as a part of our agreement with FNWA, we do have to approve it as a member agency, but it's been a major milestone in us as a city achieving what we've been looking to do to diversify, to be able to combat not only economic downturns, but just like we're in this economic challenge with the pandemic, this is one of our best tools for achieving that type of response is diversification. And so we combined our needs along with our goals in identifying the projects that will both best lead us out of it. And so this does create construction jobs at a time that they're needed, but as well, it also creates opportunity for expansion of the city. And so yes.
Just great. You came in at the last of this thing. You buttoned it up. You tied it up. Can I just take a second, Tom, and just thank a few people?
Certainly.
The heavens opened up, Tom. You know that as well as I do. There's 13,000 acres on the North Las Vegas side of that 17,000 acres in Apex. 7,000 totally unundulated, great buildable product, land. Darren Adair, what a fantastic leader he's been on the negotiation side of finance. Michaela, and working with Greg at Southern Nevada Water Authority to put it all together. Years and years of discussion, finally resolved, agreements made. Ryan, of course, you run the city, and all this has happened under your leadership. You deserve as much or more credit for keeping this thing together. And then I would like to, Tom, thank Randy Duvall for setting this up a little bit for you to come in and just kind of clean it up. It was really his hard effort, hard work, and laid out, the pipes on the ground almost, and got water about through it, and then you've been able to come and finish the project up. But I think the last person I'll thank is John Emsinger and the Southern Nevada Water Authority, the board of the Southern Nevada Water Authority, for helping North Las Vegas accomplishing its goals for its community. And so once again, every one of you, I know that Director Gina Gavin, Economic Director, is going to go just crazy filling that up and making North Las Vegas so profitable in the future for future city councils. I'm so excited about this. This is probably the biggest thing that has ever happened in North Las Vegas, and every one of you I mentioned have had so much to do with this. So, Tom, I'm going to let you finish, but I just wanted to thank you for coming in and finishing it up for us. I mean, all the credit goes to everyone else, but we took somebody like you to kind of put the ribbon on it,
Well, certainly, and again, I was finishing up. I just wanted to say that this is a culmination of so much effort, and it started at the top. And so I just want to thank you also for the opportunity to be involved at the ground level on something so transformational for our city. In accordance with our facilities and operations agreement with SNWA, this does need to be approved, and we will be bringing other items forward that's in line with moving forward with this item.
Thank you very much. Councilor, any comments or questions on this? If not, the chair will take motion. Councilman Brown.
Yeah, Mayor. I also want to, quite frankly, I want to congratulate you as well. Again, you've been the steady hand, the man with his man on the proverbial wheel of the on the rudder there. And without you guiding everybody, this doesn't happen. And now with everything that, when we came in, of course, you had an ambitious goal of providing, was it 1 million or 100 million square? 100 million square feet, and of new industrial space. And God bless us, we're well on our way to make that happen. And this is a project that, as you said before, is taking us. We're looking 10, 20, several decades down the line, and provide the good government. that maybe was lacking. I don't want to cast anything negative on our predecessors, but our city especially, we needed something that was non-gaming related. For so many years, we've heard the talk of diversifying the economy. Just a few years ago, we kept on hearing that Las Vegas, our valley, is recession-proof. Well, there's no such thing as an absolute. And I'm so happy. My heart sings in the fact that I feel that we've been doing our very best to give good government, to bring good stewardship of the public trust in building a future for our city that's non-gaming related. With all respect to our friends there in the South there, but these things happen. And whenever we're not prepared, our city suffers, our residents suffer, and this is more of a firewall, not just for the city of North Las Vegas, but for the entire valley. And again, I want to take my hat. If I had my hat here, I take it off to you and to everybody that you mentioned. I mean, the list is big, and this is a like Mr. Brady said. This is definitely a transformational thing for the city. That'll also be my since it's going mostly in Ward 1 anyhow. That would also be my motion. Unless anyone else would like to say something, I'm sure someone else would like to.
Any other comments or questions? We have a motion. Hearing none, we have a motion from Councilman Barone to approve the amendment of the Southern Nevada Water Plan. I'll go ahead and start the voting. Lee, aye.
Barone, yes.
Black, yes.
Churchill, yes.
Gordon Brown, yes.
Thank you very much. Unanimous. Big day for us, North Las Vegas. Appreciate you. Moving on to ordinances, introduction only, Catherine.
Mayor, would you like me to read these for you? Item 40.
Yes, ma'am.
Introduce ordinance number 3028, extending corporate limits of the city of North Las Vegas, annexing parcel of land generally located west of the Las Vegas Boulevard and Nadine Peterson Boulevard intersection. Petitioner represent 100% of the area proposed for annexation and providing other matters properly related thereto. Item 41, introduce ordinance number 3038, amending Chapter 13.24 of the Municipal Code to make various changes relative to definitions and fees and provide for other matters properly related thereto. Item 42, introduce ordinance number 3039, amending Chapter 13.28 of the Municipal Code to make various changes relative to fees and provide for other matters properly related thereto. Item 43, introduce ordinance number 3050, amending Chapter 13.08 of the Municipal Code to make various updates as necessary to limit the amount of non-functional turf and providing other matters properly relating thereto. Item 44, introduce ordinance number 3053 to repeal and replace Title VI of the Municipal Code and to repeal ordinance numbers 2417, 2418, 2522, 2528, 2716, 2717, 2754, 2798, and 2929, to provide for the transfer of impounded animals owned or possessed by arrested and detained persons, to provide for the criminalization of animal neglect, to require adequate shelter for animals kept outdoors, to require shading and secondary cooling when the temperature is expected to rise above a certain level, and providing for other matters properly relating thereto.
Thank you very much. Before I move on, Councilman Churchill, will you be can I invite you on item 44 to be prepared to work with, I guess, legal on a presentation for that?
Absolutely, Mayor. There were so many good people that came to our meeting that was very inclusionary. So I'll be happy to participate and recognize all those people then.
That would be great. I know you worked very, very hard on that for a couple of years. Thank you very much. Moving on to appointments. Moving on to appointments.
You want to read it, Mayor? Item 45.
Yes,
sorry, I was on mute. I was reading it. Sorry. Item number 45, appoint 2 at-large citizen members to the Citizen Advisory Committee for a 4-year term ending November 30th, 2024.
Thank you. At this time, the Citizens Advisory Committee is well run, and Rick Damian has worked with this group for quite a while. And Joe Cato is the chairman, and Rayanne Peterson are both on the committee. They'd like to serve on this committee one more time and asked to, so we're going to reappoint them. So that will be my motion. Any comments or questions? If not, the chair will start the vote. Hearing none. Lee, aye.
Barone, aye.
Black, aye.
Churchill, yes.
Going Brown, yes.
Thank you. It's approved and moved on. Item 46.
Item number 46, appoint 2 at-large citizen members to the Planning Commission for a 4-year term ending November 30th, 2024.
Great. So this is also the same thing. J.D. Calhoun has been on the Planning Commission doing a fine job. Mark Jordan would love him to stay on, and he's accepted to stay on, enjoying himself also. And also we had an opening recently, and so we've looked in some of the other commissions we have, and we found a gem in the Parks and Recreation Board, and we've asked Brenda Guyman to come up and fill that position. And so at this point in time, that will be the recommendation, to reappoint J.D. Calhoun and to appoint Brenda Guyman to the Planning Commission. That will be my motion. Any comments or questions? Now the chair will lead the vote. Lee, aye.
Barone, yes.
Black, yes.
Churchill, yes.
Going Brown, yes.
Thank you very much. It's unanimous. We have some of the greatest committees, advisory boards, commissions. We're very, very fortunate people that we have great people on our committee willing to serve. So we're going to move on to city manager's report.
Mayor, Council, 2 quick items. One is I just want to thank Director Hardy and his staff for all the work that they do behind the scenes in getting us together. And this has been with all the things that they normally do, as well as keeping us all very informed of what's going on in the economy, what's going on with our budget. They've just had a tremendous year, even though he's had some very critical people that have retired. He's really been able to navigate through it. I just want to express appreciation to him and his staff. A whole lot of information. Most of the stuff that I said tonight was stuff that he helped prepare, and his staff helped prepare so that we could present these items and present important information to council. I just want to thank them. The other thing I wanted to just bring up is during the CARES discussion, one of the things that we're closely monitoring, and Director Luke has been watching this on the national stage, is just what they're doing nationally for more relief dollars. It's clear that something needs to be done to make sure that that switch doesn't just slip in December, and a lot of our residents, in particular, a lot of our residents are going to be without some federal benefits that currently they're being provided. So we know that there's something that they're going to need to do. There's been a lot of negotiations that have been going on between the White House and Senate leadership and House leadership. And so we've been very cognizant of that. I think we all believed back in late March that there was going to be another bill that was going to follow the CARES Act. It was widely believed. There was a lot of discussion about it, and it hit the normal gridlock in D.C. and didn't happen. We know that they've got a budget that they need to pass. I think by December 10th they have to pass a budget where they'll have to do a CR, a continuing resolution for their budget. We know that they've got some defense authorization and some other bills that they've got to move through in order to avoid a federal shutdown. I think it's pretty clear. I'd imagine we've experienced some federal shutdowns in the last few years, the last decade really. I don't believe that's something the government wants to do during this time, is have a federal shutdown. I can't imagine the CDC being closed right now, if you know what I mean, and some of the other vital things that are being provided by the federal government during a pandemic. So that being said, we believe that there will be something that will be moving through Congress. We're not sure if it's going to have additional funds for local government. One of the things that we've been pushing for with our delegation is to make sure that another bill that moves through, if there are funds that are provided to state government and to local governments, that we request that those funds go directly to local governments. We don't need to play the game that we just played over the last during this year, where funds were stuck in Carson City, not going to people that desperately needed them. And then once funds were released, they were released in an unequal, disproportionate, unfair way. We don't want to go through that again. We don't need to put the governor's office or anyone else through that again. So we've been requesting that those dollars come directly to local government. But then that raises a really important question that we're starting conversations with the region about, which is having a regional approach and having a regional discussion about those dollars. While every entity is going to get them, and by all means every entity is completely has the freedom to do what they think is best for them and for that entity, but we do believe, based on the economists that we've all collectively been working with, that we're going to face a rough patch for potentially a couple years. I know there's conflicting things. There was the LBDA hosted an economist today that really looked at things through rose-colored glasses. I really hope he's right. But a lot of the economists that we're working with are saying the kinds of projections that I talked about during earlier items on the agenda, that we are looking at a revenue shortfall, that it is going to take time for this trip to get going again. You've got to get, and a lot of even the state economic forecasts are relying on two critical things. They all are assuming that we're getting more dollars from the federal government pumped into the economy on top of the $20 billion that's already been pumped into the economy. And the second thing that they're really banking on is that there's going to be widespread distribution and acceptance of the vaccine. Those are going to be very critical things for our hospitality and tourism industry to get off the mat. You see a lot of our properties downtown are going to a weekend work week, a weekend schedule, because they just don't have the foot traffic on a Monday through Thursday because of conventions. So one of the things that we're doing and is talking with local governments about what's some of the best practices. What should we do if we all of a sudden at the end of the year or the beginning of next year received a large sum of money from the federal government? We have to try and use the best efforts that we can to identify how long of time we are going to need to plug. How big of a shortfall over what period of time are we going to need those funds to plug so that we can continue providing the level of services that we provide to our residents. That's a really critical conversation that we're beginning. I know, Mayor, that you've been having this with some of the other elected officials in the Valley, that we need to just talk about this, because the dollars that we get in Southern Nevada are going to likely be needed to prop up government services for a longer period of time than the dollars that go to other parts of the country. I think Florida and Nevada are unique. In particular, Southern Nevada and Orlando area within Florida are very unique regions within the country. They're going to have to really approach those dollars in a smart way and not take them and right away use them up and then expect the federal government to come help them later on, because we don't believe that's going to happen. So I just wanted to make some comments on that that's something that we'll talk a little bit about in the next council meeting, and then I'll update council on how we're coming on those regional conversations, because it is really important that we all harness we've done a great job during this pandemic and working together as a group. And one of the things that Chairwoman Kirkpatrick mentioned in a policy call a few weeks ago was putting together a plan regionally to discuss these dollars. And I think that's something that's very critical, just as in the private sector, or just even in your personal life. If you have an unexpected windfall of money that comes in, and you don't have a prudent plan on what to do with that, it's wasted. And it's not put towards and prioritized the right way. So we want to really identify and work with council to set the priorities for those federal dollars that we do expect to come, and making sure that we are good stewards of those dollars when they come. I don't know if there's any questions on that, but that's my report.
Okay, we're gonna stay in your manager's report for just a second here. I would like to ask you, and maybe the council would too. I could ask them individually, but I haven't. An update on the micro schools. This education process is seemingly a lost year. And I know we've got the micro schools going and stuff like that. Could you somewhere in the future come back to us and let us know how we're doing and some ideas that you have for our children in North Las Vegas?
Yes, sir. I will do that. We'll put that on for the next agenda. One of the things that we're working together. Management is working on a plan to deliver because school's not going to be back. We believe school won't be back until August at the earliest, and it is a lost year. And we know from all reliable data out there that our communities, in particular our communities of color, are being disproportionately impacted by this, and it's not working for our students. We believe a lot of our parents, including a lot of staff who are parents who have children in CCSD, they've kind of, in a hope and a prayer, in many ways, they've gone bated breath from trustee meeting to trustee meeting, believing that something's going to change. And one of the things that we did in the late summer, early spring was start talking amongst ourselves as staff to be like, hey, let's not wait on anything anymore, regardless of what department it's in. We believe we're going to be in this space we're in for a really long time. We just need to accept it and move on and figure out what's the best thing to do instead of believing that something magical is going to happen in a couple weeks or in a month, and then we can do something. We believe a lot of our parents and conversely a lot of our students are expecting there to be changes, and we'll come back with an item on the agenda next council meeting. But with new trustees, with the legislature coming together, there's a lot of leadership that we want to engage in some conversations on. Something's got to be done. And waiting, we already, under your all's leadership, we already took the bull by the horns, if you will, and started SNUMA. And we want to report back. There's some outstanding data points that are coming out of SNUMA as far as learning objectives and how well it's been for the kids. Councilwoman Goins-Brown has done a tremendous job in really quickly standing up a program that quite frankly is astonishing how well it's doing for students. And what we want to do is really identify other students that can come in, or other children that can come into that program to spend time with the mentors in there to not have a lost year, as you said, Mayor. So we will come back with some more information on that.
I would appreciate that. As I was telling you the other day, I've talked to somebody that said this is the best thing that ever happened to their family because they have tutors that come in and they teach their kids chemistry one-on-one. The kids in North Las Vegas, they just need some more attention at what they're getting, and if it happens in the corporate boundaries of North Las Vegas and it's bad, we have the real obligation to make it right. And so I appreciate what you've done and what the council has done, but I think we need to have that discussion, okay?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that. And then Councilman Barone would like to take a second in your manager's report, something special to him.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and of course, Mr. City Manager. I just wanted to take a moment to recognize someone who, quite frankly, has been extremely important ever since I came here on council. Many of the things that get done in the community, whether it be Councilwoman Goins-Brown's book fair that she does, or maybe an art show, that is sponsored here by the city, at the Stone Soup Art Gallery, or there's a myriad of things. Quite frankly, I'm not the person who actually can do that myself. Although, I'm always willing to roll my sleeves. Generally, when we receive, the honor of a Liberty Bell to our city or anything, right? It's our staff that picks up the slack. That they're the ones that actually make it happen. And time and time again, I always like to recognize them whenever possible. But I just wanted to recognize that one of our really important staff members, Miss Amanda Dillard, she will no longer be working here on the 9th floor. She actually is going on to a bigger opportunity. She has a chance to grow in another department in our city. And, although we are extremely happy for her being able to have new horizons, new challenges, and, well, quite frankly, a chance to stretch her legs and grow, I know, speaking not just for myself, but for the rest of the mayor and council, we will be sorely missing her, her always friendly attitude, her confidence, those are, her efficiency, everything together along with the rest of the staff. I think she's been an exemplary person here on 9th floor, and she has not only earned my respect, but also, a great measure of love and what's the other word I'm looking for? Respect and love is probably good enough. We'll leave it at that. Anyhow, if we were doing this in person, I definitely would stand up and give her an applause. So and perhaps another council member might feel the same way. I would like to say something.
Yeah, City Manager, we're in your area of topic. We just thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate the comments, and I'll just add to them. But if since it's not an agenda item, we won't make it conversation for all of council. But I think everyone feels the same way about Amanda. She's tremendous, and we're thankful for all the work that she's done on the 9th floor, and that she's staying with the city to continue doing more work. We've got a great team up there, and Amanda's played a critical role in it for many years. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Moving on to public forum. Now is the time for the public to speak on issues not on the agenda, and speakers are limited to 3 minutes. So if you have any reason to talk to City Council on any item, any item that's bothering you or issue, this would be the time for you to discuss it with us. Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody who would like to talk to us this evening on public forum?
Mayor, we do not have any callers on the line, but shortly before I came down to the council chambers, we received 8 different emails. A couple of those people already spoke at the first public forum. They're all in regards to the homeless problem that was spoken about at the first public forum. So the speakers were Jamila Lewis, those who wrote in, Jazz Sheffer, S.J. Johnson, Jason Kordowski, Frank Johnson sent in 2 emails, Janelle McCarthy, and Patricia Uribe sent in various emails in regards to the homelessness issue and the loss of that location and those huts that were removed.
Thank you very much. Well, since we have no one who wants to address the City Council, this meeting is adjourned.